I came from a kind of it's actually a crazy situation, just this whole, with Taylor being here, who I don't even know if he remembers meeting my husband and I, but when we first got started in the insurance business, I got excited about the trips. And that was literally, I mean, long story short, I mean, my husband's mother died without any life insurance. That's our story. That's what happened. He had to sell her car the morning that she died to help pay for her funeral. Obviously, it's terrible. He was, I don't know, were you 30? Maybe he was 30 years old when that happened. So that's how we got started in the industry. But when I heard this thing about trips, I'm like, wait, you just have to sell these products and they're going to take you on this all expense paid trip to Barcelona, Spain. And yeah, they were like, yeah, that's what they do. They take you. So, I mean, we got in for the trips, and then of course the money was great and all of that kind of stuff. But I encourage you guys to make a trip, because after you make a trip, if you haven't made one, you will not ever not make a trip again. Okay, I promise. But we met Taylor and his dad on that Barcelona trip, and I remember them taking cases of wine home. And so it was just funny when Jeff said he was going to be here, I was like, wait a minute, we know him. We met him on our first ever insurance trip. So thin strings, or thin threads, I guess is what I would say. It just, everything is cyclical in life. And the other thing that I will say is we met Anthony Martin on a trip with Mutual of Omaha, and that was in 2018. We remained friends since then, and chat, text a couple times a week. So when I was having to kind of forced out of my last group who I was with, it was a very quick thing that I basically had to figure out what I was going to do with my life and my career. It all happened within a couple of days, basically. It was a very bad situation we won't go into. But so anyway, I told Anthony what was going on. He said, well, he's very blunt. If you know him, he's a super blunt guy. And he just said, you just need to go talk to Jeff Root. And just to talk to Jeff. And I was like, okay, all right. So that's what happened. And that's how I ended up here. And they have been just more than gracious with helping, and I can't see your face, but you're sitting there. But with helping and just transparent and honest, and that is not the norm in this industry. I can tell you from where I've come from and my experience and being, I guess, in the industry for nearly 10 years, it's not normal. Nick and Jeff are not normal. So, I mean, you can take that however you want to, but I mean, they are not the norm in this industry. They just aren't. They are, they're not a lead vendor. They're not making money off the leads. They're not lying to you. The grass is not greener. Honestly, if you're not all in with digital BGA, it's not because of something they're doing. So you need to look in the mirror and kind of figure out what the problem is. It's not them. Okay? Sorry if I offend you. But it's not them. So, and I'm getting to my point of why I'm even up here to speak, I promise. But I had to get this out because this has been I'm appreciative of everything you guys have done. But the call-in leads, guys, I think Nick's talking about this later. Do the call-in leads. Like I took my first set or whatever, and I don't know how many sets I'm in now. They're incredible. It's easy. I mean, the people are calling you. It's the highest intent lead I've ever worked. Like, it's easy. Everything is set up. It's turnkey. It's there. You just have to do it. And sometimes that's the hardest part. So the theme that's been running through everything here, and I guess I can go ahead and go to a different I've hit the wrong button, David. There we go. See, I'm not very tech savvy. In case you don't know that about me, I'm not. So everything is set up, though. Seriously, honestly, I can't. It's like nothing I've ever seen, especially being a technological idiot like I am. So this is my family. Obviously, four children under 13. It's crazy at our house. My husband is very patient with me and always is taking care of me when it comes to technology. So it's the insurance industry. I can just tell you, there's nothing like it financially speaking, and then also if you have agents and you get to see them succeed and things like that, there's just a lot that goes, it gets bigger. Your whys about doing things change as you get older, and what's important changes as you get older. So I'll be 45 this year, so having a lot of that going on. I'm going to talk about something which I think it's been a reoccurrent theme that's been through this whole talk, is servicing the entire agent. Service the whole client. All right, who in here just sells life insurance? Okay. Who has health and life licenses? So most of the room has got a health and a life license, just about. Everybody raise their hands. There's no reason in the world for you not to be gradually adding products to what you're doing, asking more questions. And I'm telling you this from my aspect of when I got started, I wish that somebody had like taken me by the hand, or just, and I'm straight up, in case you can't tell, I'm not going to pull any punches, I'm just going to tell you the truth. I wish somebody had come to me and said, okay, you should be doing Medicare. You should also be doing this. You should be looking at helping people with retirement accounts. I wish that somebody had told me that nearly 10 years ago, because it would have changed my entire financial life, basically. So even if you're coming into this and you're like, well, I've been doing X, Y, Z for a certain amount of years, it's baby steps. Just start thinking about adding something else. And just one thing at a time. It doesn't have to be everything all at once. So we're talking one thing at a time, and you can figure out what makes sense for you based off of what your comfort level is and that kind of thing. So I'll get the slides right in a minute. See, I told y'all. And this is a mission statement obviously for Creative Legacy Group. The most important part is legacy is not what I did for myself, it's what I'm doing for the next generation. And that to me resonates with our clients, because as you age, you're thinking about dying. You're thinking about what is left behind. How are people going to remember you? What do they want that to look like? And that's just a normal thing as we age. So legacy to me has it's an impactful word, which is why I chose it to be part of my company name. And sometimes I think it's used a lot, but still, to me, it has a pretty important meaning. So one other thing just popped into my head. I agree with Patrice and Taylor 100%. If you are in this business and you are solely you're not an employee, you're not working for anybody, you may not have traditional health insurance, you may not have those if you're full-time, you're not going to. If your spouse is not in a normal, employee type job, and you don't have group insurance through them, like my husband owns his own company as well, so we don't have insurance, we don't have traditional insurance. You are stupid if you are not protecting yourself by getting the critical illness plan or the cancer, heart attack, stroke plan. If you're not taking advantage of your own products, do you know how much credibility that lends to you? I can say, oh, my parents, the first policy I ever wrote when I started life insurance was an Aetna policy on my mom. They had no life insurance. If you can tell your clients, hey, I have a Mutual of Omaha policy written on myself. So does my husband. So do all 4 of my kids. I also have, a Heartland hospital indemnity plan. I also have a critical illness plan. You need to be able to say that, and you need to have written those plans on yourself. Why would you not? I mean, so believe in what you're. Did I do it wrong again? Y'all, we're going to get through this. Okay. Life and telesales, and I've touched on this a little bit, but just a couple of things. I came from door knocking. We actually I've worked mail piece leads, but when we started, we had a really, really, really good telephone. It was a telemarket. It wasn't, what was it, Christopher? Telephone? It was a telemarket lead. We door knocked them, and we did incredibly well. I mean, incredibly well. We made that Aetna trip in 6 months. We qualified for that Aetna trip. So we did incredibly well with them, but I mean, while I was out in the field seeing clients, I had always had this thing in the back of my head, like I could be so much more effective if I wasn't driving, if I wasn't all over creation, seeing all these people in Timbuktu, if I was able to have something that I could, plug into digital BGA, and not be driving and going into homes and worrying about, what's going to crawl over my foot. So, which any of you that have been in homes, you understand. And I also keep that in my mind when I'm on the phone now with clients. I'm like, listen, they are sitting in their recliner, they are not busy, they're not doing anything, and there's potentially could be some things crawling around on the floor. So you just have to keep that in your mind if you're afraid of the phone or you're afraid of calling clients. I mean, that's a reality. So it's kind of like envisioning people when you're speaking to them and they're in their underwear. So emotional endurance, I think, is something that kind of sums up being emotionally strong with whatever you're doing, but especially between you and the telephone. You've got to keep that. You've got to keep your mindset right, but you've also got to just be strong and be real with yourself in that respect. Take the no's, take the adversity, use it to make you do more. Use that to fuel your fire to say, okay, well, they were rude, they hung up on me, they told me no, so what, I'm going on to the next person, because that person is going to say yes. That person's going to be a laydown. You just don't know. And I always have likened this to it's a video game. Like, you don't know what's going to happen next. You're going to all these, when we were going to homes, you put it in the Garmin and da-da-da. But I was like, you're hopping from one house to the next. You don't know what's going to happen. So I liked kind of the unknown of that aspect of not knowing. So, but I mean, hey, you're in your home, you're picking up the phone. It's easier, I would say, than going into people's homes. So your belief in what you're doing is paramount to your success. They know, they can hear it in your voice whether or not you believe in what you're doing. So if you don't think that they can't hear it, you're wrong. So be sincere. They can tell if you're being too salesy. Tell stories, be sincere, tell the truth always, and do what's right. It will work in your favor. Even if you have to tell somebody, listen, what you've got is great, I'm not going to mess with it. It will come back to you tenfold. Always leave a situation better than you found it, and then we're back to service the whole client, which everybody has kind of talked about that today, not leaving the money on the table. And I'll show you some numbers in a minute. So here we are. Okay. Y'all, I'm serious. Okay, here we go. Shark teeth. So this is my youngest. We went on a trip back in, it was February. And I've had this thing, it's kind of bucket list kind of thing. I was like, I always wanted to find a shark tooth because they're fossils, they're millions of years old. Like, it's just a really cool thing to me to be able to find one on the beach, just organically. So we happened to be in Amelia Island, which is, I researched it. I was like, oh, this is a place that has shark teeth. We should be able to go. Now, mind you, freezing cold, February at the beach, and it's Atlantic side. It's on off the coast of Georgia, so Atlantic side. I'm out there and I've got like the gear and I'm like digging and I'm like dumping the sand and like all this work. I'm soaking wet. We're freezing cold. My family is like, Mom, what is wrong with you? I was like obsessed with finding a shark tooth. And I was so we went out there the first day and we did all this work and I'm like digging and dumping this sand and going through it and I had no idea what I was looking for because I'd never seen one. I'd never even seen one in person before, so I had no clue what I was looking for. So we left. I was like, I'm like obsessed with this. We've got to go back the next day. So we went back the next day, and my people are like, no, they were pretty good sports, but they were like, Mom, you're like, this is like, what is wrong with you? But so anyway, we go back the next day, and I start kind of doing the same thing, and I'm just going through and looking and looking and looking. Okay, so this guy walks down the beach, and he says, and I said, have you found a shark, any shark teeth? And he says, yeah, and he pulls out his hand, and he shows me. And he's got like 4 or 5 in his hand. And I looked at him and I said, well, how'd you do that? What did you do? How'd you find them? And he said, I just walked down the beach. And I was like, what do you mean? You're not digging up? He's like, well, you can dig up if you want to get that involved. He's like, but you can also just walk down the beach and they're everywhere. And I was like, what in the hell? Like, seriously? So I picked up one and I looked at it and I kind of examined it, and it was shinier than I thought. It was smaller than I thought. It was bigger than, it was just, the color was not what I thought it was going to be. So I want you to think about that when you're looking for, your opportunities with retirement accounts and annuities. And it's once I saw what I was supposed to be looking for, and I talked to this guy who was experienced who said, basically, in a nutshell, you're making this way too hard. They're everywhere. And that's what I want you to remember about annuities. Their opportunities are everywhere. You just have to know the questions to ask and how to look for them. So we found quite a few. We found quite a few, 12 actually to be exact, shark teeth. Everybody that was with us ended up finding one. And it was just because we asked a few questions. So it's not as hard as you think, and it's not as scary as you think, okay? There you go. So my boss wants me to sign up for a 401k, and no way I'm running that far. I can't tell you how many times I was in a house when I was going door to door, and people would say, I got this 401k, and I'm like, I don't know. I'm sorry about that. Do you take a medicine for that? Like, I had no idea what that was. I literally was like, I'm sorry. That is not on my health questions, so I think we'll be okay. But I really had no clue. I had no clue. And so this is pretty funny to me, because that's pretty much what I knew for many years. And it was like a thing that would happen, and Christopher and I have talked about it and just been like, I don't know if I thanked him, but thank you, because he's been supportive of me through this whole journey and everything we've been through, and me being on the phone and obsessive. I'm a little workaholic, and him being obsessive about things, and he's like, your kids want you to come eat dinner. And so anyway, thank you, I love you. So I got asked all the time, and I had no idea what it was. And same deal with Medicare. We're on that trip with Aetna, and all these people were there for Medicare, and I'm like, what is Medicare? I literally knew nothing. All I knew is I had tunnel vision, life insurance, I wanted to go on a trip. That was it. But then I started, my eyes started opening up about things, and it's just baby steps. It's just adding one thing at a time, just one thing at a time, one thing at a time, to make you this unstoppable agent who is able to take care of that client, and it's going to pay dividends more than you will ever believe me when I tell you. Just trust me. Just trust me that I'm telling you the truth. So, all right. Did it move? No. Don't let the entire staircase overwhelm you. Just focus on the first step. So decide what path, if it's Medicare, if it's writing cancer plans, if it's writing annuities, just start. That's the hardest part, just start. This is all that it takes to get requirements for annuity appointments. All you have to do is have a life license, which you've already all said, you got a life license. You got to have a life insurance license, the 4-hour suitability training, AML training, updated E&O. Some of you will have to add a little bit more coverage. They require that. And then product training, which comes generally from the carriers that we get you contracted with. So it's not a big process. It might take you a couple hours to do it. It's not a big deal at all. So I got to drink some water. It's starting a conversation. It's as simple as that. You're already on the phone, you're already talking to people. When I get on the phone with somebody and I'm talking to them, I'm going to ask them, I'm going to tell them everything that I can do for them before we even really get into, I know it's a life insurance call, and I'll kind of say, I know this is about life insurance, however, I do want to give you the whole scope of what I can help you with, because you might know somebody that needs my help. So I want to put it all out there so that they know that I can service them in all of these areas, that not just life insurance. And so telling them and starting that conversation and letting them know what you can do is important. And they have put this in the script, I know, for call-ins. I don't know if it's in the script for the telemarketed callbacks, but about, are you still working? Do you have a retirement account? Did you leave a job in the past, whatever, and forget about a 401k? This number is, if I knew how to do the pointer, this is an accurate number. Do y'all see that? $2 trillion. Who wants a piece of that? All of you should be saying me. $2 trillion is left in retirement accounts where people have left jobs, they've forgotten about it, it may be a couple $1,000s that they forgot. But $2 trillion, is that not insane? That should excite you. You should be like, man, I'm excited. I'm going to talk to everybody I know now. Hey, did you leave a job? Have you quit? Did you have a 401k? Did you forget about it? I mean, you should be talking to everybody you know. You should be talking to your warm market, not just the people on the telephone. You're not a secret agent. Be proud of what you do and tell people what you do and talk to people in your network. You will be surprised at how many opportunities you can find that live in your backyard, that are across the street, that you go to church with. There are people everywhere who have forgotten, number one, or number two, don't know what to do with it. And I guarantee you, if you help somebody find some money that they forgot about, you're like their new best friend forever. Don't be a secret agent, I said that. So also another, we're looking for retirement accounts, but you can also help people who have CDs or money market accounts. It's not doing anything. It's not making any money. They're not earning anything on it. So depending on what what the client's goals are, we could potentially help them with that, with money in those scenarios as well. I have a lady that I helped that she had lost, it wasn't her child, but it was somebody she raised basically like a child, and she died from breast cancer actually. And she left this lady, who was my client, $200,000. It was in an insurance policy. So I had helped this lady's whole family. The whole family's, I've got basically all their business. And she called and she's like, well, it's just sitting in the bank and I don't need it and I want it, I want it somewhere where it might do a little bit better than the 0.025 or whatever it was earning at the bank. So, you never know. There's opportunities everywhere. But ultimately, the ideal scenario that we're looking for is a retirement account. So the old way that things used to be done, how it used to be, Social Security and a pension. Pensions are going away. I am working with a new agent right now that her mom's entire company has just told them that their pensions are done. They're not doing pensions anymore, and they're in the process of trying to get the money. And these people who work at this company don't even know how much is in their pension accounts. They also have 401ks, but they're in the process, and they've told the entire company, you can take that money out of that pension and you can either roll it into your 401k or you can take it and put it into an annuity type plan. So hopefully we'll be helping this entire company get their money out of their pensions. They won't even give them any information right now on how much is in the pension, so it's kind of this up in the air, kind of a crazy thing. I'm like, I don't know how they can't give you access and tell you what's in there, but not for me, not my business, I don't guess. But so this is a good thing to learn, because some people you'll talk to and it just makes you sound more like what you're talking about. So 401k is a for-profit. You're going to hear that probably the majority of the time when people are talking about their retirement accounts. But if you call it the wrong thing, they're going to correct you. So 457 is municipal, city government. Basically, 403b, nonprofit, and TSP is thrift savings plan, and that's federal. Post office, thrift savings plan, things like that. So it's a good thing to just know those terms just as a base knowledge, because they will correct you if you call it something. No, I don't have a 401k, I have a 457. And you're like, oh, okay, great. And it's all the same thing, basically. We treat it all the same, but it matters to them. So these are just some basic differences. So one of the principles that you will learn and you will understand more, and some of you might, has anybody here ever written an annuity? Okay, so some of you have. Okay, good. So there's a qualified account and a non-qualified account. Does anybody want to explain what that means? Laura Williams.
Pre-tax and after-tax.
Which is which?
Qualified is pre-tax money.
Very good. Laura is a CPA, has been for many, many, many years. So qualified means they have not paid taxes on it because the money qualified to not have taxes paid when it was put in. So non-qualified is going to be the life insurance money that was in the account, that was in the bank account just sitting there, or a CD or whatnot. So you guys probably know some differences, or some of this about our IRAs and so forth. And this is a good little chart too, so y'all can take a picture, we can send it out or whatever. But it just kind of helps you get things straight in your mind. But you have to remember the differences between qualified money and non-qualified money cannot be mixed. So you cannot. So say somebody had, which I have a client, he had a TSP account, he had, I don't know, $65,000 in it, and then he had a non-qualified account that was just in the bank account that was $50,000, and he wanted both of them put into plans. He's like, well, we can't just put them together. I said, no, we can't, because the tax qualifications are different. So you have to write separate plans based off of where the money is coming from, if that makes sense. Are y'all with me? Are y'all hungry? So retire in style. And this is just just kind of a fun little thing to help you kind of remember the basics of annuities. It'll help you when you're getting started, just how to think about what an annuity can do for people who are retiring. So it's safe and secure with no way to lose money. It's tax deferred, which that matters coming from a qualified account or a 401 or a 457, whatever. It yields, so in a protected manner, it has protected growth. We do not have our securities license. We cannot tell people we're investing their money. We cannot promise them any certain amount of growth. The main thing that we can promise them is they will not lose any of their money. They will not lose any of their money, and they can have income for the rest of their life. Lifetime, guaranteed lifetime income, regardless of whether or not their money runs out. That's huge. So if their money runs out, it doesn't matter. Say they're still alive, and we're not going to do an illustration today, but I will give y'all, if you're interested, y'all can reach out. There's a Zoom class next week that we're going to do an illustration and show you more details and so forth, so that you can kind of see what that looks like. Liquidity stands for, obviously, they have access to their money. They have free withdrawals. Depending on the product, usually it's about 5% free withdrawals. Not just on the amount that they put in, but on as it does grow with indexing, then it would be on the whole amount of the account. So if they put $50,000 in and they left it in there for 10 years and say it was up to $60,000, they pull out on the new amount of the money, if that makes sense. Estate benefits means it's not going to go to probate. They don't have to worry about things being tied up. It basically will pay out like a life insurance policy. So when the insured dies, the spouse can either keep it the way that it is, they can cash it in, or maybe they want to cash in some of it and roll some over into a new plan. So there's a lot of options, but it does technically kind of pay out like a life insurance policy. It is a life insurance product, basically. Okay? So this is what I was talking about with some money here. And now these are just, I kind of, some of these numbers kind of came from my head, and it's just a generalized idea of things. But I am able to help somebody with all of these products, and have many times before, when you are getting that, that unicorn it's not really a unicorn. You can seek them out and find them, and there's specific strategies to help you find them. But that person that has been working, that is retiring, that needs help with everything, they are my favorite client. They are the most profitable client. So they need Medicare. So say you're writing them a Medicare supplement or a Medicare Advantage. I use this just for an easy round number, $300 up front when you write it, and then it's going to pay you that renewals for life, however long they keep it. PDP, we're saying $30. Life insurance, $1,200. Might be higher, might be lower, doesn't matter. Cancer, dental, vision, I just totally ballpark that, $400 maybe in your pocket when you write it, and I know there's some renewals and so forth and things like that. Say they had $150,000 in a 401k. I don't remember what percentage I used, but say that pays you $7,500. This one client, that's what you made off of one client. Is that exciting? One client. So I don't want you to think, oh, well, I just want to write annuities. No, that's not the point of this talk at all. You're not going to stop what you're doing. You're not going to buy annuity leads. You're not going to stop what you're doing. You are going to use the existing leads that you're already working. You're going to keep writing final expense. You're going to keep doing everything exactly the way you're doing it. You are just adding more. You're going to do something different. If you want a better life, if you want more money, if you want a bigger house, whatever it is, you got to do something different than what you're doing now. Right? So this is not chasing the great white elephant. And I am by no means on video saying that you should stop writing FE to chase annuities. And there are people out there who do that. They throw these big luncheons and dinners and spend thousands and thousands of dollars to get people to come, and then they have this big presentation. And I mean, they literally spend $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 to get people to come listen to them talk and hope that somebody will let them, write an annuity for them. That's not what I'm saying. I've never bought an annuity lead. Everything I've ever written has been a referral or from an FE lead. First one I ever wrote, it was a mail piece lead. I pulled up to the guy's house. He's in the driveway in his motorized mobility device, scooting around. And I'm like, oh, this is going to be a great house. I mean, I was like, oh, wow. Still one of my really favorite clients of all time. He could get out and move around. He wasn't stuck in it, and he was only in it because he was in a car accident, bad car accident. His wife had passed. He had a little money. He had put it into some plan with somebody. It was a variable situation. So annuities have a bad reputation because of that variable aspect. So sometimes people will hear you say annuities, and it's kind of like thinking about when you had universal life policies that were written back in the 80s. And people ended up upside down in these policies because they were written incorrectly. They didn't perform like they were supposed to perform. So it kind of gave all of universal lives or IULs a bad name, which now we know there's some pretty decent IULs out there. So annuities got a bad name from the variable aspect of it. It's not what we do. We don't write variables. We are not licensed to write variables, and I have no interest in writing a variable product because I don't ever want my clients to be able to lose money on my watch. So more power to you if you want to get your Series 6 or whatever it's called, and that's up to you. But I don't want anybody ever to lose money on my watch, okay? So this should excite you, I hope. I know y'all are hungry, and you're probably tired of sitting. So 12, just a few good teeth. Nice. That is actually what we found, 12. So those are the actual ones we found. That was my photograph. So here's the thing. If you found 12, I would say you'd put an extra $100,000 in your pocket. If you notice, those are different sizes, so you can liken that to different sizes in annuities that you might write. Some of them are broken, some of them are pieces, they're little. Extra $100,000 in addition to what you're doing? Now, I'm just throwing that out there. Maybe 50, maybe 30. Still pretty dang good. Right? Are y'all asleep? I know. Okay, so that's, as far as I know, that was probably a quick go over of the, and this is about the building referral partnerships that I'm supposed to speak on. Like I said, I'm very accessible. Y'all can give me certain cases. I can help you. We've got a couple of products, SILAC and F&G. We've got options. I can run illustrations. I can guide you, help you, whatever. Just reach out. And if you want to be part of the Zoom, I'll send you the link. Just let me know. And that'll be next Wednesday, I think at 10 o'clock Eastern time for about 45 minutes. And then y'all jump on the phones, okay? But we'll do an illustration so you can kind of see how that works and all the benefits and everything. I don't want to overwhelm you with too many details right now. I just want y'all to get excited, and I want you to just trust in me that you need to do something else, because what will happen when you have a nice big deposit? Now, these are not instantaneous. They're not like an FE when you write it and you're paid in 48 hours. That is not how this works. This is not a one-meeting deal with your clients. You're going to have multiple meetings with them. You know, it's funny, when we started, it was like you sold that FE and you're like, peace, I'm done, bye, and you're gone, and you may or may not speak to them again. Who knows? You're kind of like, if they did call, you're like, oh my God, they're calling to cancel. I don't want to answer the phone. Oh, I don't want to answer the phone. No, they're calling to cancel. I don't want to talk to them. Like, I mean, literally, that's what we were trained on. They're like, oh no, you don't answer the phone when they call. They're just trying to cancel the policy. I mean, so that's not how it works with annuities. You're going to have multiple meetings. You're going to talk to them multiple times. You're going to service them. You're going to update their crediting strategies every year. You're going to have communication. You want to have communication. You want to keep, I mean, and you should have communication. Number one, you made a nice commission, and number two, this is their retirement money. They worked their whole lives for this. This is important. Not that life insurance is not, because it is. It's very important. But I mean, so you're going to have communication. You're going to have, you're going to talk to them more than once, and it will take you a little while to get paid, depending on where the money is. It takes, I don't know, sometimes 6 weeks to get the whole deal done. So what are you going to eat for 6 weeks if you're just chasing one commission on an annuity? So, exactly. That's why you keep writing FE. So, building referral partnerships. I mean, I am not as good at it as Patrice is. I hope to be one day. But I have a book of business, thank goodness, because I've been doing this a long time. And I have, within my area, I have created some good relationships. And this business is all about relationships. It really is. If you could sum it up in one word, I would say relationships. I mean, this event is amazing for that. And I think I'm so glad that they did this, and I hope all of you will be at the event in October. Do we have dates yet on that? No. I didn't think so. I was trying to call them out on that. But anyways, anyways, I have to give them a hard time sometimes. That's okay. So we need to meet each other. Telesales can be a little lonely. I mean, when I first started, I was like, I'm like, my hair is all like this. I have on no makeup. All I did was wear workout clothes. And Christopher finally was like, get the hell out of this house. He's like, you might have forgotten how to drive. I don't even know if you can drive anymore, and you couldn't drive that well to begin with. You need to go get in the car and leave the house. Like, seriously. So, I mean, don't do that to yourself. Obviously, you got to have balance. You've got to get out of your house, because if you've got a home office, sometimes you're like, I'm at home all the time, and I'm working at home and all that good stuff. So, join the Chamber of Commerce. These are just some ideas, things I've done. You can take it or leave it, whatever you think works best for you. Join the Chamber of Commerce. Have a local presence. People in your town need Medicare, life insurance, not just people, if you live in Georgia, that you're talking to in Texas. There are people in your backyard. Don't be a secret agent. Talk to people in your area. Market yourself locally. Why would you not? Why would you not? You got a better option than State Farm, I guarantee you. So set up educational classes for local churches. I've gone in, these little ladies and men, sometimes they have these little groups. They have different speakers that come in. Just talk to some churches. They love it. They love for somebody to come in and talk to them, answer their questions. Even if you can't, help them with a product, it's just more getting your name out there. But 9 times out of 10, you're going to do something to help them. You can do it on life insurance. You can do it on Medicare. You can do it on retirement. Whatever you want to do it on. It just starts referrals for you. You'll be surprised. Visit your local senior center, Active Life, if you can get in. The one in LaGrange, the guy's not very nice, but anyways, he's special. Food banks, I've not done food banks, but I know of Medicare agents that have gone to food banks, and they go every time there's a food bank, and they write a lot of DSNP for you Medicare folks, and that's okay. They get referrals. DSNP always needs life insurance. I mean, they have got to have life insurance. Like, they are probably some of the biggest clients for life insurance, FE. Melissa.
So the food banks, do they have a booth? Are they volunteering?
I don't know how it is everywhere. In Georgia, it's basically churches can do it. Sometimes they do it at senior centers. It just depends. But a lot of churches do it. So And really the place I've gotten the most referrals is partnering with a local independent pharmacy. These independent pharmacies are dying. They're being killed and crushed by the CVS's and the Walgreens. But I will tell you that the people that go to these independent pharmacies have relationships, back to the R word, have relationships with the pharmacists. Like good relationships. They care. They know each other's name. I don't know who the pharmacist is at CVS. Like, who knows? It changes all the time. But these pharmacists at these independent, and they are willing to say, hey, call this person. And they give out, it's totally compliant. They give out the card. That person, the clients call you. But they're, giving you that recommendation. And guess who these clients trust? They trust the pharmacist because they've been with him for 30 years, and he has a vested interest in them. He knows their spouse's name. He's there behind the counter working. You can find them. They're in your towns. They're all over the place. And it will be a great referral source. A ton of Medicare, a ton of annuity business is written from Medicare referrals also. Melissa.
How do you really start a relationship? You go introduce yourself.
Yeah, you go introduce yourself and let them know what you do, give them some cards. I offer to bring donuts or whatever. Can I bring donuts? And just tell your staff what I do. There's a gazillion different ways you can, get your foot in the door. So come up, y'all be creative. Y'all are smart people. Yeah, Jake.
So I used to build direct sales team guys for B2B going face to face, and we would do it this manner. Give an agent a zip code, and then have to run every business in that zip code once every 6 weeks. So every 6 weeks, they were in face trying to meet a business owner or being face to face with the secretary. And what we showed over time is after 3 meetings of being with the secretary, getting the decision maker, you will get the decision maker. So if you want to create a relationship like that, just find a zip code that is close to your home, you're willing to work, and every 6 weeks, because you're not going to need to touch every business like we did, just those businesses you want to create that relationship with, every 6 weeks you just touch it. And within 3 times, you should hit the decision maker and be able to establish that relationship and introduce yourself. So just a big example.
Yeah, and obviously with everything, Jeff said who he is a vast knowledge of all things I really don't know a whole lot about, marketing online and basically technology in general. But getting your name out there on Facebook, creating a Facebook page, the Google Ads thing. Funny story, I haven't told you this, but so I sent out the things about getting reviews, trying to get my reviews pumped up, and Anthony sends me a message. It's like, stop getting so many reviews, they're gonna flag you. And I was like, literally he calls me and it's like midnight in Georgia. And he's like, wait, why are you awake? And I was like, well, I just am. And he's like, but you need to stop that. They're gonna shut you. And I was like, okay, it's okay, calm down. So anyways, let's go on to something else, if I can make it work. So my contact information, you need to get a contract and training, that's the Zoom. I can send out the link, or Jeff can send out the link, or whatever. All right. And this one is specifically for Nick. Nick, are you paying attention? Get your line in the water. All right. That's it. That's all I got.